Hello everyone, my name is Natalia, and today I'm going to show you how to propagate some Mexican Petunia plants. These are very easy to care for plants, and they will grow pretty fast, and they'll grow big with the proper care. So a few things that we're going to need today is you're going to need, of course, some Mexican Petunia plants. You're going to need some scissors, rubbing alcohol, a cotton ball or a paper towel, a clear glass of water with purified water works best, or filtered water, that's okay if you don't have that. You're going to need some soil, a pot, and gardening gloves if you don't want to get dirty. Sorry, that's my dog. And you're also going to need a ruler. Alrighty guys, so the first step we're going to do before we go ahead and cut our plant is you want to disinfect your scissors. Disinfecting your scissors will really do a great job of helping prevent any unwanted diseases getting to your plant. So we're going to go ahead and use your rubbing alcohol and grab your paper towel. I just folded mine like this. You can use a cotton ball as well if you'd like. So you're going to go ahead and open up your rubbing alcohol and just pour a little bit on there. You don't need it fully soaked, but just like a tiny bit like that is fine. Go ahead and grab your scissors, and you're just going to go ahead and wipe it down on each side. Make sure all the sides and edges are disinfected, okay? This may be a little difficult to do with one hand here. Okay, and then you're going to go ahead and let it dry. Looks like it's pretty dry. Okay. Okay, so once your scissors are dry, you're going to look for a plant that has no bugs on it. You don't want any little pests that are going to harm your plant and suck the nutrients out of it. This one looks pretty healthy. So, this one looks good. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to find a place to cut now. So we're going to try to find a node, and I'll explain to you these little horizontal lines here where the leaves start growing out of and the next stem starts growing out of, that's a node. So we're going to start from the top of the plant and count down each node, and we're going to try to count to 5 or 4. So we have 1 node here, 2 nodes here, 3, 4, and this would be the 5th one. So I'm going to cut just right above the 5th node there, okay? This might be a little hard to show you guys. Okay. So you're going to just hold your plant with one hand. Snip it here. I don't know if you guys can see that. We're going to snip it here. The very last node. Alright. We have our plant cutting here. So this is our freshly cut Mexican Petunia. So we are going to be placing this in a jar of water, but before we do that, we need to make sure that you're going to want to tear off these very bottom leaves and leave like about 2 to 3 inches of leafless stem, because this is what's going to go in the water. And you don't want any leaves here because they will get wet, damp, and they will get moldy and just make your water all murky, and you don't want that. So you want to have, you can use your ruler as well if you need to measure this. So this is pretty much enough to leave it in water. Okay, so this is our cutting here. You can repeat the following, or the previous steps for as many cuttings as you'd like, but for this video I'm only going to use one of these cuttings. So this is where your little glass is going to come in handy, and you're going to want to make sure, like I said, that this is filled with either filtered water or purified water works best, but if you don't have that, it's okay. You could just use any water you have. We're going to go ahead and put our cutting in there. And we're gonna leave it there until we start seeing the roots growing. Using a clear glass works best because you can see the roots start growing from the bottom. And we're gonna wanna leave it in here until the roots are established, probably 1 to 2 inches. So that might take around maybe like 3 weeks to a month. You don't wanna pull it out before the 3-week mark. So just make sure you date when you're gonna place these in the water, and yeah, you can just check up every week and take a look and see if your roots have grown. Okay, I did forget to mention a step. Once you do place your cutting into your water, you're gonna want to keep your glass of water somewhere that gets like a lot of bright indirect light. You don't want to leave your plant in direct sunlight because the water will get evaporated faster, and you do have chances of burning your plant and drying out the plant out. So like here, there's no direct light that hits this here, but it does get very indirect bright light, which is really good, and that's going to help push out the roots. And you also want to make sure that once you are done working in the garden, that you wash your hands. Alrighty, here I have some Mexican Petunia cuttings that have been sitting in water for 3 weeks. You can see here the roots have grown very, very long. This is probably about maybe 1.5 inches. Maybe this one is a little bit longer, like 3 inches. This is a good sign, and if you want, you could measure out the roots if you want to make sure that they're about like 1 to 2 inches long. Or like I said, you can wait until like the 3-week mark, and as long as the roots are fully established, you can go ahead and plant your cuttings into the soil. Alrighty guys, so for the next step, things are gonna get a little dirty, might get a little messy, so I do recommend, if you don't want to get dirty, to go ahead and get your gardening gloves or any other gloves you might have lying around, might be able to use. So we are going to need the pot and the soil. I recommend any well-draining soil mixture would do perfectly great with these plants. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and want to pack your pot with soil and leave about, I would say maybe like 2 to 3 inches of a space between the top of the soil to the very top of the pot. This is going to allow you to water your plant and basically be able, so the water doesn't overflow your pot and just spill over. You do want to make sure that the water is fully soaked into the plant so the roots can drink it up. So once we have our soil there, you're going to want to go ahead and poke a few holes, different holes in the dirt. So that's where you're going to place your cuttings here. So I have 3 cuttings. I'm going to go ahead and poke 3 small holes here. 2, 3. And yes, you can use your ruler as well to measure out the top if you need to. So we're going to go ahead and place the cutting there in the hole. You want to make sure you just do it gently. You don't want to harm the roots, but you do want to make sure the roots are under the soil. And it's okay if they're bending down a little bit. We are going to pack it down and straighten them out in a little bit. Okay. So once your cuttings are in there, go ahead and try to pack down the soil just to help support the plant a little bit better. And don't worry, we are gonna get some more soil to pack in here. Okay, so you're gonna push down the soil as much as you can and try to like support the cuttings as much. And then we will come back and fill in a little bit of soil, and just like I said, make sure that you still have like a little bit of a gap. Like for this pot that's smaller, I would probably leave a 1-inch gap, but if you do have a bigger pot, you would want to leave maybe closer to like the 2-inch mark. Okay. Okay, so we're back to our plant. I did pack in a little bit more soil, and I just push it down. Just make sure that all the roots are covered and under the soil. And I still left a little bit of a gap just for the water. So once you have all of your cuttings secure and its roots are under the soil and you still have that little bit of gap, we're gonna go ahead and water our plant. And for the first time watering, you're gonna wanna water like very thoroughly. So the soil is very moist. So I know it might be a little hard to say how much to water because we all might have different pots, but the way that I water my plants when I first put the cuttings is I make sure to water to where the water covers like the soil completely. And then you'll see it'll kind of drain out a little bit. That's okay. I'm gonna leave it here and the water will actually get soaked back up by the soil. And yeah, so this is gonna be your new plant. You can keep this in a place that will be partially shady with a little bit of sunlight, just not too much direct sunlight because these are still very new cuttings and you don't want them to dry out. And as far as watering, you're probably going to want to water this, I would say, sorry guys, I got cut off on the last video, but like I said, you're going to want to water these probably 3 times a week. If you notice that the soil is very dry and you haven't watered them recently, or it's not going to be like a rainy day and they're not going to get any rain, go ahead and give them a good water, especially if you live in Florida where it's really hot, and yeah, they will appreciate the water. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I hope you guys can enjoy your new plant. Maybe share this with someone else. And lastly, don't forget to wash your hands after you've been working in the garden and getting all dirty. Enjoy, guys.